Okay, so let's move on to question number 3. Assign each of the given labels to the flask that it correctly describes. Okay, so I'm guessing P is for pressure, P total. I'll just write down the definitions for what all of these mean. So when they say X, this is the mole fraction. And according to Raoult's law, when you calculate the mole fraction of, let's say, compound A, it's going to be the number of moles of A divided by the number of moles in total. So in our case, it's going to be number of moles of A plus B plus C. So let's do it for flask 1. There are 4 moles of A plus 2 moles of the B plus 4 moles of C. And then if you were to carry out this calculation, you get 0.4. So if I were to write for all of flask 1, for the B, it would be equal to 0.2. Just by doing the same thing. And then for C, it would also be 0.4. So I'm just going to make like a table to help us answer all of the different labels that they give us, just to make it like easier to read. I'll have the flask number, I'll have the moles of like A, B, and C. Let me make it neater. And then I'll have the mole fraction, which I calculated ahead of time just to save us some time. And just by using the same equation that I talked about up there. And then for my last column, I'm just going to have the total number of moles in the flask. So let's do each flask in a different color. So I already made flask 1 like orange. So I'll do the same thing for flask 1. I'll fill out my column. There were 4 moles of A, 2 moles of B, 4 moles of C, and then for the mole fraction, I got 0.4, 0.2, and 0.4. So the total moles, just by adding them all together, is 10. Now let's do the same for flask 2. So for 2, there are 3 moles of A, B, and C. So they all have the same mole fraction of 0.33. And then the total number of moles is 9. And lastly, for flask 3, there is 1 mole of A, and then 3 moles of B, and then 4 moles of C. And then if we were to calculate the mole fractions, it would be 0.125, 0.375, and then just 0.5. And its total moles is 8. So now let's look at all the different labels that they gave us. So for greatest pressure of A, it's going to be the one that has the most moles of A. So in this case, it is flask 1. For greatest P total, it's also going to be flask 1. Lowest amount of the C. So let's look at all of them, and you'll see that it is flask 2. Lowest P total is flask 3. The lowest PA is flask 3. So the greatest mole fraction of C is flask 3. The greatest mole fraction of B would, I believe, also be flask 3. And then lastly, the lowest PB is flask 1. Okay, so that's all 8. So let's see the answer from our junior tutor. They calculated all of the X values and then made the handy chart. Greatest PA, flask 1. Greatest PC is 2. PA is 3. XB 3. P total, flask 1. Lowest P total, flask 3. Greatest mole fraction 3. And then lowest PV is 1. So this solution is correct.